It's my honor to open the next session. Welcome everyone to the 2026 MSR Research Colloquium, the mystical and research dwelling at the threshold of knowing. My name is Konstantin Beicht. I'm your facilitator for this session. I'm joined by our tech host, Adi, and if you have any kind of technical issues during the session, please just use the chat and reach out to Adi, and he will help you. You can see him as Adita and tech host behind his name. As always in our MSR sessions, we ask you to keep your cameras on if you can. We also understand if there are circumstances where you cannot do that because you're in a different time zone. But yeah, this especially should be an engaging session, and our speaker, Ekaterina Zhuravleva Todarello, will do her best to engage you all with some modern quirks, Mentimeter. So also please keep your mobile phones ready so you can scan a QR code and take part in the Mentimeter polls that we will be doing together. About our colloquium, we gather here as a global community of scholars and practitioners to explore how a mystical experience may be embodied, researched, taught, and brought into leadership, management, and organizational life. Our speaker today, Dr. Ekaterina Zhuravleva Todarello, is a passionate educator with a deep interest in workplace spirituality and mindful and compassionate leadership, in teaching, in personal spiritual practice, and in research. She currently coordinates a postgraduate program at the International College of Management in Sydney. Her teaching portfolio includes thought leadership, mindful and compassionate leadership, and Buddhist ethics. Her teaching philosophy fosters inner coherence, resilience, and presence, guiding students to navigate complex organizational landscapes and to touch deeper levels of personal and professional wisdom. You're in for a shock today because she will talk about the shock. Where in your research have you experienced a moment of rupture, confusion, and resistance, or no? And what, if anything, emerged when you stayed with it? And then the wow, hopefully, at least, the moments of your work or life where something came alive, a moment where you felt the spark. Yeah, we're gonna ask you to really feel the thinking that has gone into that presentation, to relate it to your own experience and to share it with the group. Please be aware that the presentation will be recorded so we can make it available on our MSR YouTube channel for everybody else who cannot be here with us right now. With this, it's my joy and honor, Ekaterina, to hand over to you. Thank you very much for being with us.
Here we go. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much, Konstantin, for a wonderful introduction, and I'm very happy to be here. I disappeared for a bit, but this is my intellectual home, and I see familiar faces, the lovely faces of my colleagues, and reminisce about the times when I was doing my PhD and going to America, and the conferences and the conversations and discoveries and laughs together. Really, really wonderful time, and it's been some time. And so when I saw the topic or the theme of this colloquium, it reminded me straight away of my 2013 paper that I submitted for the Miracles of Management conference in Lourdes in France. And it was about the WOW research. It was on the back of my PhD, where I developed what I call the No method of inquiry. I thought, yeah, that if not now, then when? So yes, I jumped on it, and I thought this is a very good time to reflect and go back, revisit that model, and see what can come up with it, especially given life challenges and what happens in life, and we're all are human beings and things happen to us. So yeah, so here we go. This set is very simple. Setup is very simple. We will I'll talk a little bit about the inquiry itself, and then share my experiences. And as Konstantin mentioned, yes, have your mobiles ready, but also pen and paper. If you have it nearby, you can type if you want, because there will be a couple of reflective questions. But it's always good, as you know, to write with your pen. There is something visceral about that, about the connection between our body and our mind, and essentially that's the topic for today. So yeah, coming back to where I was some 15 years ago, and then 13 years ago when I put up that paper. And so essentially my PhD, in my PhD I developed what I called authentic spiritual hermeneutic inquiry, as I called it, a no method. And its idea was that I based it in the philosophical roots of it, were Martin Heidegger's ontology, and also his disciple Gadamer's revolutionary addition to that. And so I asked 4 questions, which brought us to combining epistemology of what we try to do, you know, the learning as epistemological event, but also asking and questioning what knowledge is, that it is essentially the ontology. Yeah, it's who we are, it's how we are being in the world. And so yes, I asked 4 questions. Who is a researcher? What are we researching? What are we doing? And why are we doing what we're doing? And then how it all unfolds. So the first, the who and why were the ontological questions. The what was more an epistemological one, and the how was part of the methodology. And when it was all coming together, and when I was looking and really being attentive to my research, I acknowledged the moments of rapture and not understanding, but also the moments of grace and insights. And it was like, wow, there is that element I need to be really attentive to. How do my insights come in? What is happening with that development of knowledge? And so yes, then I called it the 5th element of research, the wow of research, which I wanted to acknowledge as well. And so, yeah, yes, so here is the Mentimeter that comes in. I'd like you to use your phones and read the QR code with them, and answer as many questions, giving as many answers, I suppose, as you can. So it's not just one answer out of 7. Moments of real insights for me happen most often when. So think about that, and give as many answers as you can, and I hope it will start working. Otherwise, what's the point? Yes. Technology. Okay. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that. We can see the answers emerging on the screen, and the winner is when I'm relaxed or relaxing, interestingly enough. and it does, when we look at that, we see that our wows and how we attune to them are coming from very different spaces and places in us, and there is no one specific way in which we can nail it down, so to speak. We can see that 25% of you are saying that when I'm relaxing and relaxed, and then the next to sharing the same spot. Oh no, 21 is when I'm interacting with others. So yes, from that collective wisdom and co-creation, a lot of insights come, as we know. 18% for two answers here when we're deeply focused, and actually also randomly out of nowhere. So that mystical part of it, which we even cannot nail. And very often it's when we just completely forget about it and let it be, and then the answers come to us from the subconscious mind, from that dwelling in the subconsciousness, so to speak. So yeah, thank you so much for that. I didn't have that technology then, but I had my mind in a sense of bringing it all together. And what I mapped then at the time in my PhD was that the mapping of the wow of research. It's quite rational, what I can see now. It's quite kind of trying to put things into boxes a bit here. I was coming from where I can see now from a little bit of a naivete, but still there was a rational kind of approach to it, and the way I've done it then, it somehow reflects what we've just answered in a way of different ways of insights coming in, but I put it into kind of whatever attitudes and skills of understanding we have when we stay present and trust the dwelling, and a bit of that relaxing part that actually won the quiz there, but also the experiences themselves, naming them and attuning to them. Here I put breakthroughs, or rather breakdowns, as well, and I will return to that shortly. But also what I acknowledged was that when we are inquiring, there is always an outcome, and it's always us becoming different on the other side. Through staying with uncertainty, through trusting our voice, we learn our lessons and we become a bit different. There is always a different person at the end of the inquiry. And here I would like to kind of revisit that and reflect on that on the 13 years since the time. The first couple of pictures and the last one are the pictures of my Gurdjieff practice. And just to talk a little bit about that, because some people may not know too much about Georgy Ivanovich Gurdjieff, or George Gurdjieff. He was a mystic who died in 1949. We Russians claim that he is Russian. He lived in St. Petersburg, my city, but he was Armenian Greek, and he traveled the world, and he is regarded as one of the strongest, I suppose, mystics of the 20th century. And today, up to date, we have Gurdjieff groups, cells in every major city in the world, and they're quiet and they do their work and they come together and practice, and that's what we do. I started it some years ago, and it really became a bedrock of my life, really coming back to it. But what Gurdjieff was talking about, his teaching is called the fourth way. He was saying, yes, there are ways, like he called it the way of the fakir, the way to recognize and become aware through the body, and also the way of the monk. It's the way of our heart, and the way of the yogi, our intellectual awakening through the intellectual work. He was saying there is a fourth way. We do need to integrate all three and work on the alignment of all three elements in ourselves, in our humanity. And he also talked about the importance and the sacredness of shock in our lives, and how it shakes our identity and gets at out what he called buffers of who we think we are in our personalities, and propels us into the essence of who we are. But that practice can take some burning. For me, it took the form of that burning when my mother died unexpectedly last year, and it became a true shock. A true shock. She was elderly, but she was my mama, and she was not supposed to die. It was a medical crime or whatever it was, but life, the mysterious and ways of us facing the tragedies in life. So yeah, that picture over there is a picture with my brother and my cousin 2 days after mum passed away. And to me, it kind of when I look at it, it really has that quality of a shock, because we still don't know what's going on. And then the next picture is again the practice. When I came back to Australia, the community really embraced me. But it's every community that does it. But what is so valuable about Gurdjieff is that real consistent work on understanding that humanity and divinity are just part and parcel of each other, and that we do need to keep working on all aspects of who we are, the heart and the mind and the body, to finally recognize that we are not that at all. We are much bigger than that, much bigger than that. So that kind of, in a nutshell, I thought it would take much longer, so maybe we will have time for, at the end of the day, for the breakout rooms. We'll see how we go. So yes, that's kind of looking back at the 13 years. And so going back into that model that I created, I saw my own blindness in that model. I was going like, nah, breakdowns are not part of that. Just one column. They deserve the structural significance, the structural recognition. They are conditions for us to open to grace. They are conditions for us to start working more on ourselves and move through the old identities, and shed those parts that we didn't see were there, or saw that but didn't know what to do with them. And so this is what kind of these are initial stages, right? I would love to hear more from you today, and discuss it as we go along. But essentially, as I said, we do need to have the recognition of the breakdown, Heidegger's term, and shock, Gurdjieff's term, and its important part of moving towards the grace and to the wow moments of better and deeper, rather, understanding in our inquiry of life and who we are. And yeah, so asking and searching, and then, oh no, this is not happening, this is not happening, this is not happening. But then we can't go to grace if we're not willing. And Gurdjieff calls it, he says, I wish. So every time we do the movements, and they're, by the way, I didn't talk about them then, but the movements are really challenging. They challenge you to stay. If you're not present in this very moment, you lose it, because they're quite complex. They involve different parts of the body doing different things, and using your voice and using the head, and all moves in different directions, and you need to hold it all together, but only through grace of your acceptance and total presence. And that's why they're so powerful. And this is this I wish, the willingness to agree with life as it is, to go through that burning and agree with that. And in research, the intensity may not be that big. It can be the breakdown of the direction of the research that we wanted to, but it's still the death of something in us, something that we knew, something we held on to, and now it's gone. Oh no, it's not working for me. That direction of research is completely gone. What do I do with my dissertation or with my project now? And then burning through that and saying yes to what is coming, and facing it with compassion to yourself, which is another big thing. And then between that no and yes, it's using Buddhist terms, like it's suffering because we are allowing it to be in a way. And then yes, and then moving to grace, which in itself is just such a miracle. And so that's kind of a in a nutshell of reframing that model. And I put it as a loop here, as a circle, because we are moving through that all the time. And sometimes it starts with grace. I remember I was 25 and I was working for Scandinavian Airlines, and there was a moment of a mini breakdown. Goodness me, there was a security check. I thought it was my fault. In the end, it wasn't. But I realized it wasn't. But that mini little stress, something happened, and I was standing in that very cold November day in St. Petersburg on a ramp near the aircraft, and I had that moment that we talked about yesterday. Andrew was talking about yesterday, that absolutely mystical experience of oneness. It was grace, but what I realize now, it was a gift. It was a gift that actually sparked my inquiry very early in life. Not that early, but still 25. I started asking, what is it all about? What was that about? And so yeah, the whole process can be actually starting from any step here. I suppose there was willingness there. I was always so thirsty for knowledge, and the willingness was there, and that's why God saw that. Yeah. So now we need our pen and paper, and I would like you to take a minute or two to ask that question. Where in my life or work is something burning right now? A tension, a loss, a resistance that no, I don't want it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And now I'd like us to set it aside for a moment, for a few moments. And I would like to invite you to meditate with me. I'll guide it. And it will be Gurdjieff's technique on divided attention. It's a pretty powerful technique which we practice regularly in our group. It is guided by instructors, and it's really a key meditation for in this way, because it does allow different parts of ourselves to integrate, but also to develop attention to the point when we can hold it both inside and outside us, ultimately merging these two worlds together. We only have 10 minutes, so it's a taste. We have it usually for half an hour at least, or an hour, so it's gonna be, I don't want to rush it, it's a meditation. But yes, let's have a taste for it. Okay, so just find your space. Yeah, find your space and close your eyes. I'll close mine. And feel your feet firmly on the floor, the soles of your feet on the floor. And sit away from the chair so that your back is away from the chair. And scan your body quickly, especially paying attention again to your back so that it's straight, and there is a straight line from the lower back all the way to the back of your neck and the back of your head, and that there is also a space between your chin and your neck, and that your chest is open and shoulders are relaxed. Just finding your space and giving it two good sighs. Just relaxing. It's relaxing and becoming tall at the same time. And now connecting to your breath, please. Just noticing how you breathe in and you breathe out. Paying full attention to your breathing. When you breathe in, you know you're breathing in. And when you breathe out, you know you're breathing out. Of course, thoughts come in, that's usual. Let them pass and come back, focusing on that attention to your breath. This breath and this attention to your breath is the way of the heart. It's our emotional center. We'll treat it this way in this practice. And now let's move to our physical center. And move your attention to your right arm. Breathe in through your fingers all the way up to the shoulder, and breathe out from the shoulder all the way down through the fingers. Notice how the arm responds with the heightened sensations. Our body talks to us all the time when we pay attention to it. And do a couple of breaths like that, and breathe naturally here. Just as you breathe in, get your attention all the way to the shoulder, and then as you breathe out, all the way down. Let's now move to our right leg. Breathe in through the sole of your foot all the way up to the hip, and breathe down from the hip all the way to your toes and the sole of the foot. Up, breathe in, down, breathe out, naturally. Let's move to the left leg, and the same here. Breathing up towards the hip, breathing down towards and through the toes. And closing this cycle here with the left arm. Breathing through the fingers all the way up to the shoulder, and breathe out down from the shoulder all the way up through the fingers. Now holding your attention on all four limbs here, having that taste of divided attention as we hold all four in our awareness. Tending to our physicality, to our body, listening to the sensations as they emerge as a grateful response to our attention. let's move. This time to our head, to our intellectual center. And find the space, the dot, the spot between our eyebrows, behind our forehead, and envision it as a golden star, a bright golden star. If it's hard to envision it, just knowing it's there, connecting to it, connecting to our mental energies, to our intellect. Good. And now I'm inviting you to feel the one who was holding the ropes of all those attentions to different centers in us. The observer, the I am. Going higher, feeling higher, and allowing that spaciousness and that sky of awareness to include all three centers. Our attention is now divided firmly between our breath, our heart center, our limbs, our physical center, and the golden star in our forehead, our intellectual center. Finding that space with no oscillations between. And if there happen, that's okay too. It takes time to practice. We're having a taste for it. Resting in that taste. Generating that energy. I'm starting to hear the sounds and coming back to all three centers within the body. And in your time, opening your eyes. Thank you. Maintaining that meditative state and reaching out for the pen again. Now letting your hand write what, if anything, is this fire beginning to reveal open in me. To what can I say yes and what can I receive? We're coming from that first question, pre-meditation, to what I was saying no. feeling that shift if there is anything there. Listening. 1 minute. Let's, as you're finishing, do a little bit of a play and engagement again, and I'd like you to read that space that we just created. Yes. Did the practice of divided attention bring any insight or a certain shift in your understanding? Thank you. I don't know how many people answered yes, a noticeable shift, but 43% it shows. And then we have a spectrum here as well, from a strong shift and insight to not being sure. Oh, we keep going. Okay, so something is happening there. Meditation is such a gift for us to keep going back to that space, to generate that energy and to connect to what our rational minds are not able to read, and listen deeply to that subtleness, to those quiet voices that tell us the truth of how things are in this moment. Thank you for that sharing. Thank you very much. Okay, so no breakout rooms. However, the question here, because I have another Mentimeter, which is about the open-ended question. But these are the questions for us to consider, right? When in our research we have experienced a moment of rupture, for you to take with you, yeah? And thinking about the moments of the work and life when everything comes alive, when a moment where there is a spark there, and where we can't help but explaining, aha, oh wow, what are those conditions when that emerged? And so yeah, that's another one, and last one I promise, and after that we'll have a discussion. And this is an open-ended question. What insights have emerged for you during this session? This gives us a good food for thought and nourishing discussion in our plenary afterwards. Thank you. Okay, answers are starting to come in, to trust my instincts, to navigate my way forward. First, I learned a new technique that was very relaxing, considerate, and I could feel the compassion. Thank you very much. Some embellishment of ongoing illumination and sense of communal resonance. Oh, powerful words. Thank you. But how interesting we all are in different places in the world, on the globe. And here it is, one screen, and answers are coming in. And you can write more than one. Thank you very much. I will need to think more about wow moments during my research. I really appreciate the embodied aspect of meditation. Thank you. Letting go of pain is a very difficult process. Requires letting go of our ego. Yes, yes. How powerful the combination of meditation and embodiment are to scarcing clarity from authentic soulful place. Yeah. Thank you. Perhaps a few more. Sourcing, yes. How powerful the commitment to sourcing. Yes, makes sense. Sourcing clarity from authentic soulful place. Authenticity is the key. Connecting to the truth of who we are. Thank you, thank you. Okay, we can come back to that, I suppose. I'll perhaps go back, but this is a good time before we do the closing insight to actually have a plenary. I'll stop sharing now, and have a conversation. And if you have questions, please do ask. Comments, thoughts. Yeah. Thank you. Switched on your cameras.
Thank you, Ekaterina, for very personal insight into your journey and your research and the challenges you face and the overlap between the personal, the private, and the professional that I think we can all associate with. And I open up the floor to everyone